And joining us right now is a wildly popular man, author of a new book, One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future. He, of course, is Ben Carson, M.D. Dr. Carson, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Sir, as a doctor, and because you're a public figure now, you're commenting on so many issues of public policy, I've got to ask you, as a doctor, you see what's happening with the VA. We have so many proud members of the military, active duty, as well as veterans who are part of our cherished audience here on WMAL. They would love to hear your opinion about what's wrong with the VA and what can be done to fix it.
Well, I've had an opportunity to work in VA hospitals, and there are a lot of very good people there. However, there's a tremendous amount of bureaucracy. There are a lot of layers of people between the patient and the caregiver, and that is really the major issue here. And it gives you an idea. It's really a harbinger of what will happen if the government is in control of everybody's health care. I mean, this will be a drop in the bucket compared to the kinds of problems that we will witness.
Do you think that politicians who advocate for more government influence and control in our healthcare, and we know who they are, I mean, let's face it, Hillary Clinton, who many people think is going to run for president in 2016, back in the 90s, she pushed for very close to a single-payer system like Canada and the UK. Do you think they look to what's going on at the VA as kind of a model for things to come?
I don't think they really think about it. I think they have their ideology, and evidence doesn't matter to them. They just say, this is the right way, and no matter what's going on, we'll just double down on it. And what we should be thinking about, obviously, is not only how do we take care of veterans, but how do we take care of all of our citizens? We have adequate resources to do it, and there are excellent ideals for how to keep one's health care in one's own hands so that they make decisions between them and their health care provider. And we really need to begin to push those things. And that's why, I'm working with the American Legacy PAC to make sure that a very viable alternative is there that actually is much cheaper and brings the whole healthcare system into the free market, which is where you get price efficiency as well as outcome efficiency.
I want to ask your opinion about the situation with regard to these select committee hearings on the issue of Benghazi. And I want to play a little soundbite from you. It happened, I believe, yesterday. Adam Schiff is one of the Democrats who belatedly have decided that they're going to, get into these hearings and they're going to attend these hearings. Listen to what he had to say.
We couldn't even get commitments from the Speaker to make sure that we would be present when witnesses were interviewed, that we would have any say in what kind of subpoenas or the range of subpoenas that would be issued. But you can expect that if we are denied that kind of due process in this select committee, that we are going to be very vocal about it, and we're going to scream bloody murder about that, and we're going to let the American people know that this is a sham.
Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, he says that he thinks their major responsibility is just to scream bloody murder if the Republicans get out of line.
Well, it's a shame. I talked extensively about Benghazi in the book, One Nation, because I think the implications are extreme. What basically we are saying, or what some people are saying, is that if our troops anywhere in the world get into more trouble then we can, agree to save them. We're just going to leave them on their own. And that's a horrible thought. Those guys who went into that embassy with their guns blazing, trying to save their comrades, I'm sure that they thought that backup was on the way. They said, there's no way they're just going to forget about us. And we just forgot about them. This is horrible. And then the fact that we then say, well, we couldn't save them. How in the world can responsible people put people in harm's way, not have the ability to save them? That doesn't make any sense for somebody who claims to have the ability to manage things.
Our guest is Dr. Ben Carson. He's the author of the new book, One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future. And Dr. Carson, let's face it, a lot of people get excited about a lot of the things that you have to say in many respects because you seem to come across as a conservative. I don't know what your party affiliation is directly necessarily, but I think many conservatives, many Republicans are looking for strong leaders in the African-American community who align themselves with conservative values. And because you're black, that gets people excited. So I'd love to ask you about race a little bit here, considering it seems to be in the news so often, and specifically about voter ID. We've been told that if Republicans continue to push for requiring someone to have a photo ID so that they can cast their ballot, that they're in some way discriminating and they're trying to suppress the black vote. As a black man, what's your response?
Well, I wrote about that topic also in the book. I've made it my own personal project when I travel to other countries to ask them, how do they prevent voter fraud? I haven't found any country that doesn't have some type of an official ID in order to vote. So if all of those countries require it, are they all racist?
Yeah. I guess that if you connect the dots on the people who are against it, I suppose so. I mean, it is sort of, I don't know, to me, it sounds like you're belittling people to suggest that they're not capable of having a photo ID, which is sort of the prerequisite to be a functioning member in our society. I mean,
of course that's belittling people. People can, if people want something, they can get it. And we need to stop making these silly, lame excuses and start concentrating on what the real problems are.
And in your mind, what are the real problems that have to be addressed?
Well, particularly in the minority community, the biggest problem is an incredibly sluggish economy. So, we need to get the heavy foot of the government off the neck of small and large business so we can recreate the entrepreneurship, the innovation that made us into a great nation. We need to revise the tax structure. We need to do the things that will allow our economy to explode, which then gives people, very good choices. Even people who are not highly motivated will be able to find, the kind of employment that will allow them to move up. We shouldn't be interested in programs that simply maintain people. They're just like treading water. We want people to be able to move up in our society.
All right, Dr. Ben Carson, it's always good to have you, and we hope that you come back more often because you have a rapt audience here on WMAL.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Loved having you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Carson.
Dr. Ben Carson, he's the author of the new book, One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future. I just love hearing the guy talk.
Every time I hear the guy speak, I go, yeah. Yeah. And, that's why there are so many people. We didn't want to waste a lot of time asking him if he was going to run because people don't give you that answer when you ask the question. But there are a lot of people who would love to see this guy run for political office.
Or some political office, yeah. I mean, listen, can you go from a doctor, a neurosurgeon at Dr. Johns Hopkins University right to the White House? I don't know. I mean, I feel like the process of running for president is such an arduous task, and you don't have any experience running for elective office. It's a tough trial by fire.
What do you always say? Well, this is not brain surgery? Well, he actually is a brain surgeon. He's a pretty smart guy.